a lot of people have had a lot of things to say over the Universes Beyond sets over the past couple years, and there's a good amount of that commentary that's been pretty negative, claiming that these Universe Beyond sets are ruining Magic or that they're slop. They say no one wants to play with these characters, they're ruining my game, they're out of universe is kind of the big one, which is, the Universes Beyond. And maybe it was cool to have Optimus Prime as a commander option, but now this is just too much. But I think we're wrong about that technically. And the reason why is it kind of goes to the actual core of what Magic the Gathering actually is. Because I think the most important thing about Magic the Gathering is, in fact, the player, you and me, actually playing the game. Because in Magic the Gathering, you're not just playing cards and trading cards, you're actually telling stories and pulling from stories in your game. A core part of Magic the Gathering is that if you're playing, you're actually a planeswalker or a wizard or a sorcerer of sort casting these spells. But is that what you're doing? Are you just making up spells? Is it like Harry Potter where if you know the word, you point your wand and boom, the feather floats into the air? No, it's not actually like that. At the core of what it is, Magic the Gathering is actually a storytelling game. And it's not just about telling stories, it's about knowing about the stories that you're telling. So as a player, you're not just summoning a creature out of thin air. You're actually pulling them from their part in their story and using it to attack your opponent. That's the core of what Magic the Gathering really is. It comes down to the idea that you and I are planeswalkers playing the game. And if you're the kind of player that likes lore and strategy and how they combine together, maybe you're going to like this channel. So there's my selfish plug to follow and like and subscribe and all that crap. But back to my point, building a deck is not just about picking the best cards. And some people, for competitive people, that's really just what they're doing. For the people that I think they're actually upset, the people who love the lore, I'm actually going to talk to you specifically because I think the reason you don't like it is actually the reason it's okay. Stay with me. Follow me on this. Think of like your textbook ransom note, right? The kidnapper cuts little magazine pieces from all these different magazines they find. They glue them on paper so you can't trace handwriting, and then they send them off and they cut words out or letters out, and they're from different magazines, but they put them together to send the message that they're trying to send. Building a deck is actually a lot like that. You're assembling creatures, spells, enchantments, all these different things from all these different stories and all these different realms and all these different planes. Do you kind of see where I'm going with this? Into your deck to reference them as you play against your opponent. And this storytelling element is very true to the core of what Magic the Gathering actually is. It's not just about a collectible card game. It's about storytelling. That's what makes it so different than something like Pokemon. Pokemon has these characters that they can rely on. Pikachu will always be popular. Charizard will always be popular. My boy Blastoise will always be popular. But Magic the Gathering isn't always necessarily making their characters popular, although if you play long enough, you know a lot of the Planeswalker names and things like that. They're trying to make the story popular. Each set is released with a story behind it. So you're not just playing a character or a creature, you're referencing a moment in time in that story. A couple of cards that come to mind when it comes to this is number one, the card Semester's End. Now, Semester's End reads, exile any number of target creatures or planeswalkers you control. At the beginning of the next end step, return them to the battlefield under its owner's control. Each of them enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on them if a creature, and an additional loyalty counter on them if it's a planeswalker. That's not a creature. That's not a celebrity. That's a moment in time that is from the Strixhaven set that you are referencing. You're pulling that part of that story out of the story and using it in this match with your opponent. Let me use another example here, and this one's going to tug at your heartstrings just a little bit. Let me reference Selfless Savior. Sacrifice Selfless Savior. Another target you control gains indestructible. But there's flavor text there, right? She raised him from an orphaned pup and gave him a life of love. With his last act, he thanked her. That is a moment of time, a piece of a story that if you know the story, you can pull from that part of the story and use it in your match. Magic the Gathering is a game that is referencing and pulling reference points from a bunch of different stories, and you, as a Planeswalker, have the ability to know and understand all of these stories. You're not just summoning creatures or casting spells, you're referencing plot hooks and stories from all these great, wonderful realms that make up the realms of Magic the Gathering. Still need more convincing? Let's talk about Planeswalkers for a second, because I've said you are a Planeswalker and I'm a Planeswalker, but you're probably like, that's not what a Planeswalker is. Planeswalker is a type of card. Is it? Technically, yes. So a Planeswalker is defined as another mage. That's why they're Planeswalker cards. They're cards that you can play, but they're different because they don't come to the battlefield with health points like you have a life total, right? No, they come in with loyalty counters. So you can call a favor from another Planeswalking mage to come in and fight with you alongside on your behalf. However, there's a limit. You see, if they take too much damage, they're going to say, you know what? This is too hot. I don't want this smoke. I'm out of here. So if Magic the Gathering is more than just a card game, but a pulling of different stories, I think what people are really upset about is the list of stories that they can pull from is getting bigger. Now, me, Nathan Porter, I am the Planeswalker here, and I'm learning about these stories. And I haven't done a deep dive into all the lore, but there's so much rich, fantastic storytelling in Magic the Gathering. And a lot of new players don't even know that. So if you're a new player, I would encourage you, read up, do your homework, because it makes these cards even more fun when you look at like the lore behind even recent cards like Elspeth's Smite. Oh, that's just a cheap removal spell, right? No, it's a really cool moment in a story, and you should do as much research on it as you can, because that's a great story. So if I, Nathan Porter, am a Planeswalker, and I can pull stories and characters and references from Strixhaven, I know about a lot of other stories too, because I know a ton about Lord of the Rings. And so I was really excited to be able to pull from those stories as I'm playing. I'm also a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, so I was able to pull things from those stories as I'm playing as well. And because I know these stories, it makes it cool to call upon the moments of these stories when I'm playing Magic the Gathering. And so that's why, even if you don't like the stories that Universes Beyond is pulling from, technically it's still like in the vein of what Magic is. It's still true to what Magic the Gathering is, even if those aren't your favorite stories. Do you think these Universe Beyond sets pulls you out of the immersion of what the lore of Magic the Gathering is, or does it add to it? Let me know in the comments, because I really am curious. So these stories are about story quality, not just about inclusion. So the story quality of SpongeBob SquarePants might not be very deep, but still some of those stories are referenced really well in the flavor text on those cards. Some of those are actually pretty perfect, and that's why it still kind of works, right? Because you're taking a moment from you're taking a moment of time from those stories and putting it into this moment in a counterspell or a smothering tithe or things like that. So it still kind of works, even if it doesn't seem like it should fit. I also think this is one of the reasons why the Spider-Man set didn't do as well, because that story was really not flushed out, and I don't think they did a great job of pulling from some of the key moments and references in the Spider-Man universe. They actually got it right on a couple of cards, and I do have some cards that I like from that set because of the stories that they kind of tell within them. But it was also so hard to like take that and translate to online if you played a lot of MTG Arena, because that story doesn't even make sense. It's just kind of we have to double print these, so let's make these stories up and just kind of make it work. And that just doesn't fit as well. It doesn't feel as good in that. And I think that's one of the reasons that this set missed, because most social media influencers, they're playing MTG Arena, not just Paper Magic. So when you go and they can't connect to these stories because they're just not fun, they're not good, it was probably hard for them to get excited about it because the storytelling just wasn't there. Let's talk about the professor himself a little bit. Tolarian Community College. Iconic. The professor is known for liking playing Merfolk, and he's totally allowed to do that. He draws from the stories in Magic the Gathering where Merfolk exist and do cool things and interact, and he draws from those stories to build his deck. So he doesn't have to tell stories using turtles or hobbits or Spider-Man. And the stories he tells with his decks are still great. They're awesome. They're wonderful. But it still leaves the opportunity for you and me to reference some cool moments in other stories while we're playing Magic the Gathering and call upon those moments, reference those moments if we're playing a deck of Merfolk or any other type creature type. That's what makes Magic the Gathering so fun, is building with the cards that you have, referencing the stories that you know and that you love, and putting them together in big and important moments of those stories to help win against your opponent using big important moments of their stories too. It's one of the reasons I don't love just like downloading deck lists and just like plug and play. I like to build the story as I go. I like to put in cards that make sense with each other, and it's just a lot of fun to do it that way. So just because a spell exists doesn't mean you have to use it, and someone summoning a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shouldn't ruin your day. Magic has always been about building stories, connecting with the stories, and then using the stories to battle your opponent. It's about pulling from these characters and these major events and building something truly unique that smashes together all these different concepts into one amazing, awesome deck. So I think if we really understand what Universes Beyond is, it's just allowing us to access some of the stories that we already know. It makes it a lot more fun and makes it less frustrating of an opportunity. There are so many amazing stories out there, and it'd be cool to pull from them when we're deck building and allow key characters that maybe shaped our childhood to shape our decks and add win conditions to them. So I think I'm here for Universes Beyond, all of it. As long as the stories that they're pulling from are good, let's just keep going. But maybe you disagree. Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video or hated this video, that's fine with you, because just like anything else, you don't have to like it, just like Universes Beyond. That's it. That's my 2 cents, and we'll see you in the next one.